So I want to dive in with one specific incident. We talked about this when we Zoomed a couple weeks ago. I think this is a good place to start. There was a gentleman in Atlanta last year who, I don't know, I never saw whether his intoxication level was or anything, but he passed out at a Wendy's drive-through. And that whole situation escalated. The police were called, they came, there was altercation. If I remember correctly, the guy got his hands on the cop's tasers, and eventually he was shot to death.
Right, he ran after that and they got shot.
And then you messaged me, you go, what do you think of this? And our exchange was, how did a guy passing out at a drive-through escalate to the point where a man lost his life?
Exactly.
So what are your thoughts on how that could have been handled differently?
The way I look at it is like, and you know, first of all, nobody should lose their life over like falling asleep in the drive-throughs. You know what I'm saying?
Agreed.
So the way I look at it is that even if, and like you said, we talked about this in the Zoom, even if the guy got out of his car and ran like he did, there was no reason to even chase him because he left his car.
Right.
So with his car being there, the easiest thing to do was to run his license and go arrest him because most likely he ran home.
Right.
You know, so it's just, I think this a lot of times that, I think it can go further than that. I think the training for the police now, because of where we are in society, I think maybe it needs to be more different type of training for the officers, because all officers are not bad.
No.
You know what I mean? So, but why these guys decided to change, I don't know if it's because of the environment. You know, it's in Atlanta, my son went to school down there, and that's the city, you know, quote, certain areas are supposed to be, you know, like rough. So I don't know if they thought maybe he had a gun. He didn't have a gun, but I just think the best way to do it was to de-escalate the situation when he tried to grab or whatever, and just, you know, get him later.
So I jump on a couple points. His car was still at the drive-through. You had the car. You got your light, the tags on the car. You're going to be able to trace the car to an address attached to a person.
Right.
So just de-escalate the situation and chase him later. And I'll say that neither you and I are cops. We've never been in the heat of the situation, but I think I've got enough sense to go. Chill. But then you just said something about the gun. If he had a gun, he was running away.
Right.
If he pulled a gun and he's pointing at a police officer,
right, different story.
All bets are off.
Exactly.
But he wasn't. He ran away.
He ran.
And so we saw that as situation exactly the same. We both messaged back going, yeah. And again, we're not here to bash the police.
Right.
But it became a big part of the whole, you know, black outrage in 2020. And you know, if you're shooting people in the back, somebody's got a right to be outraged.
Right.
But so, and then we talked before, so I'm like, and I'm going to try not to, you know, get lost in details of certain stuff, but the bigger issue to me is the backlash against like the George Floyd incident and Breonna Taylor and things like that just led to a whole lot of issues that I thought about. It's like the biggest one to me is we so demonize like all police.
Exactly.
And like you said, they're not all bad. That I'm concerned now, like what kind of people are we going to get to be police, and we're only going to be able to get people that are going to make the problem worse.
Yep, and I remember the Zoom. I you know, not going to say names or anything like that, but I told you I have some people that I know that have become officers, and I've known their background because, and these are guys that I might have, you know, dealt with when they were younger. So I've seen them go from teenage to having to get a job, and knowing the backgrounds that they chose, like maybe after high school or college, and now I look and I see that they're police and sheriffs. It just makes me wonder, like what kind of background checks are being done, and it doesn't matter race to me. Is white, black, Chinese, Indian, whatever. That background check should be looking at all of that, because I think that's part of, like you're saying, like some of these police now might have grew up in those type of areas and have that mindset, you know, and now they're cops. So now to me they're just more of a glorified, you know, I guess evil person, if you want to call them.
Yeah. And then tell me this, and I'll come back a little bit later and like delve into what it's like to grow up in certain neighborhoods. But when you're from that neighborhood, like you, and you know these people, you know their backgrounds. If you know them well enough to go, well, he may be a cop now, but he's still the same guy. He hadn't changed.
Exactly.
What kind of trust or lack of trust does that create in the neighborhood as far as the police go?
Exactly. Because that does only mean I'm not the only one that knows
Right.
the background. The neighborhood he grew up in knows his background. So now, like you're saying, it's like if this cop comes, they're going, they're thinking in their mindset is like, well, is he like this one that I know shouldn't be a cop, or is he not? So that causes a reaction from everybody now to make all police in one group.
Yeah.
And
So,
I don't think that's fair, because I have other friends that are police that are like, even said to me, hey, I asked to be off the streets, because I don't want to be in that situation, so I asked to go put me at the desk.